What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sector for Nerds, and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars Retro Discussions. Today we're here to talk about Season 5, Episode 8, Bound for Rescue. This episode was directed by Brian Colin O'Connell and written by Christian Taylor. The cookie for this episode: when we rescue others, we rescue ourselves. Make sure you guys are liking this video and subscribing to the channel and sharing this video with others to help support the channel. Plenty of great content every single week here, you guys. Nothing that you want to miss out on. All right, you guys. So without any further ado, intro guy, let us know what's going on in this episode and what's been going down in the last couple of episodes here in this arc. Piracy in deep space. Infamous outlaw Hondo Onaka attacks a Jedi transport bearing 6 younglings who just received their lightsaber crystals. So rare are these crystals that Hondo knows he can sell them on the black market for a small fortune. AHSOKA Tano is captured by Hondo and his pirate horde. Now, with a damaged ship, the younglings are stranded and alone. Thank you, intro guy. The episode starts out with the younglings trying desperately to get their ship back and working because it seems like they're, obviously breaking away from the pirate ship, did some damage to it, and they are trying to contact the Republic fleet, to which Obi-Wan Kenobi responds. And Obi-Wan tells them how he's going to dispatch Commander Cody to bring them back. They're going to go deal with Hondo on Florum. And Petro kind of points out, look, we're much closer to Florum than you guys are. We'd be able to help out quicker. And Obi-Wan's like, no, you will not jeopardize your safety trying to be heroes. Is that understood? And then after they end the transmission, he's like, okay, their coordinates are putting them dangerously close to Florum. I don't want these kids getting any ideas. You're going to have to leave quickly, Cody. Oh, but wait, a separatist fleet is attacking, so looks like you're going to have to stay here for now. So this episode actually kind of transitions back and forth. We have like the A plot of the younglings going to rescue Ahsoka, and then we also have this really cool B plot of like this battle between the Republic and the separatists, and we get Grievous involved. So I think what we're going to do this week is we're going to cover that part of things first instead of like taking it scene by scene. I think we're going to cover all of the Obi-Wan stuff first, and then we'll transition over to the younglings side of things. So like we get this battle that's going on. There appear to be a lot more separatist ships here than there are Republic ships, and it feels like the Republic isn't necessarily winning this battle. The droids end up sending boarding parties to the main hangar, and this is really the first time besides the one episode in season 1 where Ventress boards a Republic Venator with a bunch of super battle droids. This feels like the first major battle to happen inside of like a Venator like this. And it's really cool because it's not just like a squadron of super battle droids like it kind of was in that first season. This felt like armies of battle droids just swarming into this Venator. And you have the clones being like, we're being overrun, push forward. And then you've got Obi-Wan and Cody, moving forward, starting their counterattack. But then you've got Grievous moving in with his bodyguards. You get to see this really cool sequence where Grievous just takes out a bunch of clone troopers. And like he catches one with his leg while he's not even looking at him. Like he just had like this sixth sense that he knew he was coming. And then Obi-Wan and Grievous have a little bit of a face-to-face with each other. Grievous crushes the clone that he was choking, and Obi-Wan's just like, you'll regret that. And then they go into battle. Obi-Wan throws a fuel barrel at Grievous, and Cody shoots it. It was very Lego Star Wars-like. For those who know what I'm talking about, right? Do you guys remember the original Lego Star Wars game where you have to fight General Grievous, and one person could be playing as Obi-Wan, another person could be playing as Cody, and if you're Obi-Wan, you got to like force push the barrels over to where Grievous is, and then Cody's got to shoot him. I wonder if that's where they got that idea from. But anyway, Obi-Wan and the clones end up running because it's like, all right, we got to fall back here, and Obi-Wan puts out the announcement, this is General Kenobi, abandoned ship, abandoned ship. Cody protests, being like, sir, shouldn't we stay and fight? We can't lose the ship now. And Obi-Wan points out, Cody, the ship is already lost. We must face it. But you and I are going to give Grievous a little parting gift. And that parting gift that Obi-Wan talks about is the entire ship self-destructing. I do question why Obi-Wan would have left a message for Grievous telling him this rather than just like them just blowing up the ship while he was on it. And so then Grievous like rushes to the hangar. He like pushes a bunch of droids out of the way like he normally does. And the Venator ends up blowing up. And the last part that we get of this Obi-Wan side of things is him and Cody in an escape pod just going, I'm afraid the younglings are now on their own. Which I guess that was probably an important element of why they had this in the episode, is they needed to explain Obi-Wan was originally going to help these guys, right? They were originally going to send their fleet to Florum, but now their fleet has basically been destroyed. So now the younglings are just going to have to figure it out themselves, which is luckily what they were going to do originally anyway. So the younglings, when we get to them in the start of this episode, after they talk to Obi-Wan, is they're on their ship building their lightsabers. We see 4 of them, kind of constructing their sabers there. And freaking Gungi, my guy Gungi, oh, I love it. One of the coolest sabers of all time right there. With like the wood cover and everything, like, oh, it's so cool. Petro, Biff, and Gungi finish their sabers. Gungi with the green saber, Biff and Petro with the blue. Katuni's sitting there. She tries to activate her saber, but it's not working. And she kind of like puts it off like, I'll finish mine when I'm ready. But you kind of like right before they cut away from her, you see like she has like this really sad expression on her face, like, I don't know what to do. What did I do wrong? I don't know what what am I supposed to do? And Petro proposes a rescue mission, to which Biff and Gungi agree. Katuni doesn't. But then in comes the other 2 younglings, Zat and Gnodi, and they point out there is a problem with the ship.
There's a problem with the ship. What kind of problem?
Breaking away from the pirate ship ruptured the entire filtering system.
What does that mean?
It means she's venting coolant, and if we don't land soon, the engines will explode. We'll have to land and let the system reset.
I talked about it a couple weeks ago, how Petro was probably my favorite of the younglings, even though he is kind of a piece of crap. Got a bit of an attitude about him. But I don't know, like, I think what this episode showed off is, like, him sort of taking the lead on this mission to, like, get Ahsoka back. Everyone played their part, but it felt like Petro was the one calling a lot of the shots. He's obviously the one that proposes they go to Florum. Once they get to Florum, he tells Gnodi to stay with the ship because she's the only one that had pilot lessons at the temple, and they need that to, help them make a quick escape. So to Petro's credit, right, like he's playing to everybody's strengths here, even though I'm sure Gnodi would have liked to go with them. She did seem kind of sad when everyone sort of left her right there. But Petro knew what had to be done. Last week, they kind of showed that Zat was kind of piloting the ship too. So, like, I don't know. It felt like surely Zat would have had like a little bit of training. I don't know. Either way, so the younglings, they go on their way to rescue Ahsoka, and they come across this traveling carnival act. I forget what those species of creatures are called, but the ones that we see in that C-3PO and R2-D2 arc from last season were there. And they come across the leader of this whole group. I think his name is Briego. And they, put on this little act for him to, get him on their side. Like, oh, well, hold on. How many of these tricks can you do, young man? And Petro just kind of looks at him like, well, how many do you want? So I'm saying, man, Petro took the lead on this episode. He's nailing it. And so they go to the pirate stronghold, which we see earlier in the episode as well. Ahsoka talking with Hondo as she's kind of sat there captive. Ahsoka and Hondo have this really funny moment where Ahsoka goes, if you don't let me go, you will wish you had been born a protocol droid. And Hondo just goes, sometimes I do anyway. What? What is that supposed to mean? Okay. And then Ahsoka talks about, like, the Republic isn't going to pay a ransom for me, and the Separatists can't be trusted. They're going to kill us both. And Hondo sat there with his sword. Okay, come on. People that were growing up with this show with me back in the day, how many of you guys had the Hondo action figure with the sword, the Clone Wars action figure of Hondo, and it came with this sword? And we never really saw Hondo using a sword all that much. And I don't know, was that sword ever around earlier on? I don't remember it. But I remember watching that episode and I'm like, wait, he's got that sword. So I got excited about that. They talk about Dooku and how he still holds a grudge about, the whole hostage situation that happened back in season 1. Speaking of the early days of Clone Wars. But then Hondo talks about, I'm going to sell you to this businessman who would pay handsomely for a Jedi. And a female Jedi at that. One of the burning questions I think I've always had about this show is, who is this businessman that Hondo was talking about? One of the long-standing questions I've always had about this show that's never been answered. Who was this businessman? And why did they specifically want a female Jedi? So then as the younglings arrive at the pirate stronghold, which by the way is looks like nicely rebuilt, after it looked like it was, damaged for whatever reason at the start of the season. Can't imagine why that would be. The younglings start putting on their act. Ahsoka immediately realizes who they are and is like, oh no. Because they're in disguise, but Ahsoka can clearly see through it. Kachuni ends up getting Ahsoka's lightsabers from Hondo as he's distracted with these two Twi'lek ladies that, bring him forward for the next act. One of his other pirates tries to get in there too, but Hondo just like face palms him to the ground. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Come with us.
Which one of you said that?
And a Hondo line here that always stands out to me as well. And it's actually one that I hear Jim Cummings talk about a lot, like on his podcast. Whenever he's doing Hondo's voice, it's one of the lines that he loves to do is, I'm not as young as I once was, but I'm older.
I may not be as young as I once was, but I'm older.
It's a good one. And Hondo's just sitting up there all excited.
Who wants to see Hondo's books? Talk to me.
Biff is standing on the top of the ship, and I'm like, wait, what are we about to do here? Guys, we don't gotta kill Hondo, all right? It's okay. Like, we don't gotta go that far. But they had him on, like, one side of, obviously made, like, sort of like a seesaw, right? Biff jumps off the ship, and he lands on the one side of it, and Hondo just goes flying across the area. And in the middle of all the chaos, Kachuni gets Ahsoka out of there, and the Jedi start making their escape, but the pirates notice, like, wait a second, it's those Jedi kids. And so they start shooting at him. Ahsoka brings out her lightsabers. The younglings bring out their lightsabers. The only problem is, though, Kachuni, since she still hasn't figured hers out yet, she's just kind of sitting there having to, like, dodge and weave, get behind the others, and they all end up retreating to one of those pirate tanks that they got there. Ahsoka tells the younglings, I could pretend to be angry, but you were all very brave. Thank you. To which Petra replies, well, we disobeyed orders. And Ahsoka goes, well, I learned from my master that sometimes doing the right thing is going to mean bending the rules a little bit. And then Petro contacts Gnodi to get the ship ready because they're going to have to take off as soon as possible. And that's how the episode ends. Overall, this was another really good episode of the show. I love this Younglings arc. I love the story that they've taken this. This episode really showed, it kind of got to show off the Younglings and sort of put them more in the spotlight again. And again, I would probably attribute most of that to Petro and maybe Kachuni a little bit too. But I guess at least the Younglings as a group still at least felt more like the center focus of the episode, where it felt like last week it was kind of more about Ahsoka and Hondo. And this week as well, like, remember, you even have like the Obi-Wan and Grievous stuff in there as well. So overall, to me, it made for a really good episode. And you're going to see next week the ramifications of Obi-Wan losing that battle to Grievous. So with that, you guys, that is going to wrap us up for today. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with others to help support the channel, and I will see you guys next time.
Hondo. General Grievous, I presume? What a surprise. Have a seat. What, may I ask, is the honor?
You can dispense with the pleasantries, pirate. This planet is now under separatist control.
And what do you suppose that means?
It means you have a new master, pirate scum.